So, you're telling me I can be Spider-Man, Neo, Hulk, God of War, all upscaled to 3x with this single device? I'm telling you, there is a thin line between good and evil, and this device will not make it any easy for you to pick a side. So, choose wisely, cause you know what happened to Anakin, it wasn't nice. Today, comrades, we're looking at next generation of Android portable called Odin 2. It packs a lot of punch, price to performance to quality ratio is up there among the best. I have great time trying it out. Let's check it out, but first, quick word from today's sponsor, channel members and Patreons. Huge thanks to them, and huge thanks to new member on board, Hirohito. Your names are now proudly displayed on my channel's homepage. Make sure to pick nice image to stand out. Let's begin with the size. It is a bit smaller than OG Switch and a bit larger than Switch Lite. Its design fits nicely into my hands. I would say it is a perfect fit. I wouldn't want it any smaller or larger. If I compare it to something like a Steam Deck, the difference is quite striking. Odin 2 seems really small and tiny compared to it. And that's a good thing, cause that's my biggest gripe with the deck. It's humongous. And often only cause of that, I prefer not to take it with me on the road. The build quality is actually very decent, I like it. I've seen some people were concerned about it not being a dedicated handheld, and thus it wouldn't most likely meet the dedicated handheld build quality standards. However, I'm pleased to tell you, Odin 2 definitely meets my dedicated handheld build quality standards. Joysticks feel very nice. These are Hall effect joysticks, so no drift. You can even pop them out. I hope we can get different styles of joystick caps in the future. Dpad feels amazing, no wonder why. They copied it from PS Vita. The shape, the feel and the size are almost identical. So if you like fighting games, this will do great job. Action buttons are a bit further apart than on Vita or Switch, but it didn't make much difference. Bumpers and triggers are also amazing, I love them. Both are very easy to press. Bumpers stick out about the right amount. They are clicky, triggers have nice travel to them, but they are activated quickly. There are two more additional buttons from the rear side, L and R4. They are on good position, they can be easily pressed and assigned to any action, but I wasn't really using them. From the rear side, there are also these bumps for better grip. I like them, even though they make the device thicker at the sides. Whole device is made out of plastic. It is a bit slippery, so make sure to always hold it firmly. Fingerprints are not really visible, but if your hands are really sweaty, there might be some leftovers. From the front, there are also 4 small buttons: back, home, start and select. From the top of the device is power button with fingerprint scanner, volume, fan exhaust, yes, it has active cooling, micro HDMI out and micro SD slot. From the bottom, USB-C and 3.5mm headphone jack. I'm glad it is still here. 2 front-facing speakers do a great job. They're loud, but there's not much bass. I had a bit issue with controlling the right amount of volume. It was either a bit quiet or my ears were bleeding. But with the latest update, it is much better. Glad to see they're addressing these issues with updates. Nice one. Hope to see more of them in the future. As you may have noticed, there are RGB lights around the joysticks and from the sides of the device. All of them can be thankfully fully customized or even completely turned off. Which I'm a big fan of, cause it could be really annoying, but I left it switched on minimal brightness, cause it's kinda neat too. You can see all the specs on the screen right now. It has Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 CPU, 6-inch 1080p IPS LCD, and there are 3 configurations available: Base, Pro and Max. I have bought black base model with 8 gigs of RAM and 128 gigs of storage for $2.99 from Indiegogo. This is my very first Indiegogo experience. Usually I'm not buying from there cause it takes ages to actually get the product into the hands. But I've seen the news from the retro gurus that they were ahead with the production and I went ahead and bought it. And luckily it came fairly quickly. In fact, it was delivered on my birthday. But now when I look at it, I think I should have probably bought the Pro model with 12 gigs of RAM and 256 gigs of storage for $70 more. Plus there are also different colors available, whereas with the base model there is only black. You can still buy Odin 2 for these prices, even at the time of making of this video, but the base model is sold out. I'm also including Geekbench 6 score comparison with another Snapdragon Gen 2 device, Samsung Galaxy S23. There were some different but not whole lot, as you can see. It is running Android 13 with minimal bloatware installed. There are no emulators or ROMs included. You have to set it all up by yourself, but it's pretty straightforward. Download and install APK and put ROMs into the folder. Voila, job done. There is also Odin launcher installed for more gaming handheld experience, but I prefer this classic Android layout. Now let's get into emulation, shall we? When I stated this is a perfect ultimate PS2 portable, I really meant it, cause this indeed is perfection. I've been using Nether SX2 for my testing and just look at it. God of War, 3x native resolution, 60 FPS. When I've changed it to 4x, there were some small frame drops, but still really playable. And this holds true for every other PS2 game. Shadow of Colossus, 3x, no issues at all, and that one is one of the hardest to emulate. Black, 3x, running like a breeze. Destroy All Humans, 4x, absolute blast. I mean 4x is kinda overkill, cause you don't need that much for 1080p screen, but in case you wanna connect it to external monitor and play at high resolutions, you absolutely can. Incredible Hulk, Path of Neo, Need for Speed Underground, Yakuza, and basically any PS2 title you can think of will run absolutely fine, cause this chip is a beast. But hey Zealous, why don't you just take a phone with this exact chip, put it into mobile controller and call it a day? Well, you can absolutely do this. I have 8th Gen 2 chip phone for like 9 months, and there is not a single game or emulator installed in there. And I'll tell you why. My phone is my phone, not my gaming device. I use it solely for my personal and business matters, not for gaming. I like to have it separate, but if you want you can do it of course. I doubt it could be for $299, but you might even get an OLED, cause that's the one thing I'm missing in here, OLED screen. We're all so used to it, so going back to LCD is not easy, let's put it that way. I'm sure they wanted to keep the price as low as possible, and who knows what the future holds. Hey Magic 8 Ball, is Odin 2 OLED coming? I slightly digressed. PS2 emulation on this device is a perfection. Only game out of like 60 I've tried that gave me some issues was Punisher. Not sure what it was all about, cause when I've tried it again after when I was recording the video, it was all fine, so no idea. I've seen people are doing loads of crazy things already with PS2 emulation, like adding HD textures and 60 FPS patches for games that previously didn't have it. I'm just getting started with all these things, I'm just scratching the surface, but I can tell you one thing, this is just first of many Odin 2 videos coming, so subscribe if you want to see them. Now, let's move on to PS Vita emulation with Vita 3K version 9, the latest and the greatest. With this chip, you can easily emulate many Vita games at 2x native resolution, so the image is much clearer, sharper, with more detail. I've never seen PS Vita games to look any better than this. Does it mean this is my new Vita replacement? Hell no, many games are still not playable at all, many have various issues, but many can be played absolutely fine, even upscaled. Remember, this emulator is still in early stages of development, it is still hell of an impressive emulator nonetheless. Freedom Wars, Street Fighter X Tekken, Gravity Rush, Muramasa Rebirth, Dragon's Crown, Asphalt Injection, all were running fine. Also please keep in mind, upscaling can cause issues right now, all games should be played at 1x for best results. Uncharted Golden Abyss is good example, cause at 1x it was running good, but when I changed to 2x, the graphics were suddenly messed up, as you can see. This device is using Snapdragon chip, that means you can also use custom GPU drivers. I've tried the newest one, but the games were running worse than with the default driver, so you need to experiment with this little bit, cause every game is different. PS Vita emulation very enjoyable. I'm still having such a great time, even though I'm only trying to run games that I've already played. But it feels like a whole new world, with the upscaling and anisotropic filters and whatnot. Can't wait for next Vita 3K update. Keep up the great work, guys. PPSSPP upscaled to 4x, 1080p. Even hardest to emulate are running without any slowdowns. God of War, Dante's Inferno. You're not gonna have any issues with any PSP game whatsoever. All of them feel like brand new games. I'm sure you're waiting for some GameCube emulation fix. So here it is. Auto Modelista 3X, no problem. There's like the hardest to emulate. Twilight Princess 3X, also no issues. I tend to incline to PlayStation emulation, because it is what I grew up with. So no, I'm not becoming emulation mystic. I'm avoiding Nintendo's ninjas intentionally. I'm aware other channels are good at getting away even with Switch emulation and whatnot. I often feel like my channel is the chosen one, at least in regards to community guidelines and their interpretation. I've made a bully PS Vita port tutorial, I received a strike for it, and now it like shows you the segment in the video that violated it. You know what it showed me? The segment where I talk about how your bully fix is finally here, and let's get this exciting mixture into your ego veins. And I'm like, bro, I'm talking about game? It's like a freaking metaphor or whatever it is. I might have went too far with it, but yeah, try to explain it to AI. I'll be surely checking out more 3DS, Wii, GameCube and Switch emulation in the upcoming video, so you know what to do. And now to my final thoughts. I like this device a lot. Only nitpick I have is the LCD screen. It gets the job done, but it's not an OLED, of course.
Give me a brain.
Controls are very refined. Some people might prefer to have joysticks on the top. I think I like it this way more. First-person shooters are very playable. I had to slightly shift my hand down compared to when I'm using action buttons only. But even then, bumpers and triggers can be easily pressed, so no problem. Price is not bad either, $2.99, same like on Indiegogo, but the base model is sold out as of right now. In the box there is only cable, so if you want charger, case or dock, you gotta buy it separately. And ultimately, wouldn't it be better to get some Windows based handheld? The biggest benefit I see in Android based handhelds is good size, thus good portability, and good power efficiency, thus longer battery life. This is heavily dependent on what games you run or emulate, of course. You get access to whole Android games library. There are plenty great native games and unofficial ports available. Plus you can also use something like WinLater that allows you to emulate PC games x64 and x86. On Steam Deck you can play pretty much your whole Steam library. You cannot do it in here, but it is humongous and battery lasts like 1.5 hours. Probably you could have buy some smaller PC based handheld, but those are much more expensive. As I said, this is first Odin 2 video of many. Like, subscribe, join if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Thanks to members and patrons for support. Čago Belo Šilenci!